And 2, man, we back and we better. Let's get it.
We out here. We out here.
Daniels takes the snap, drops back, finds a man in the air. He's going for it all. Who else? Frank Darby with the grab. Are you kidding me? Darby, 84, a playmaker for the Devils.
Jaden Daniels takes this one, fakes the handoff to Eno Benjamin, unloads this one, deep bomb all the way inside the 5-yard line. Brandon Ayuk.
Daniels under center, fakes the give to Benjamin, now has to improvise. Jaden Daniels to Eno Benjamin, touchdown Devils. How about that for Arizona State?
Welcome into the house. It's the spookiest episode of the year. Zach Keenan, Jordan Palacio. It's Halloween.
Oh, it's my favorite time of the year, and that it was not my favorite mask of the year. That was brutal to look at. A little bit like this last Saturday's game, ASU taking on UCLA. Zach, that was hard to watch.
All right, I see where you're coming from now. I thought you were going after my shenanigans and
a little bit, little bit.
Not a great game to watch, if anything. Spooky, scary, all great adjectives to describe that 42-32 performance that ASU put out.
There wasn't many highlights, but let's go ahead and take a look at the very few highlights from that last game. The Sun Devils running out onto the field at the Rose Bowl. It doesn't get any bigger than this venue and this game, taking on the UCLA Bruins, a game the Devils really need if they want a shot at the South. There's Eno Benjamin getting ready pre-game. They need a big game out of him and out of Kobe Williams, both of them captains and leaders on this team. But on the very first possession, Eno loses the football. UCLA jump right on it, and it's a nightmare start for the Sun Devils, getting their Halloween weekend started early with that scary of a play. And speaking of scary, here's Josh Kelly. He was giving the Devils nightmares all game long, getting inside the 5-yard line on that play, and he punched it into the end zone a couple plays later to give UCLA their first score. But the Devils defense made something happen. They force a fumble out of quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson. They recover inside good field position, and on the drive, Jaden Daniels, playing his first game in SoCal since signing with the Devils, hops over the plane into the end zone to tie the game up at 7. But DTR for UCLA proved himself to be an athlete in this game, making plays throwing and running like you see here, giving the Bruins into plus territory here, and that set up this play later into the drive. Josh Kelly already with touchdown number 2 on the game, 14-7 UCLA, and they would not look back from here. Now in the second quarter, DTR gets the snap. Where's he going? It's number 27, obviously. Practically untouched into the end zone. And in the first half, he has 3 touchdowns against ASU. And right before the half, check out this play. DTR to his receiver. A great throw, even better catch. And at the halftime break, UCLA is up by 21 points. That's right, they are running into the tunnel of 28-7 over the Sun Devils, and it doesn't get any better from there, because in the second half, Josh Kelly bulldozes his way into the end zone for his 4th touchdown of the game, a career high for him, and he had about 165 yards. He didn't need any help getting the crowd to make some noise. The Sun Devils made the game respectable, but it was too little, too late. There you see Daniels connecting with Frank Darby for a little touchdown pass. You see Darby's happy, but like I said, it's just not enough. This play encapsulates the game. A 2-point conversion try. Freshman Ethan Long, what's he gonna do? What's he gonna do? Go through him? Oh no, gets rocked at the line, and that was all UCLA needed. 42-32 over the Sun Devils.
The final score, 42-32, but a 10-point spread really doesn't convey the foibles ASU's offense and defense. We bring in analyst Jackson Zuber for an extra spooky episode or edition of Post-Game Breakdown here on the house. Jackson, if there was one situation that you could point to as far as both the offense and defense, what's the scapegoat for the reason behind poor production?
Yeah, you talked about this being the spooky episode, and one thing that was absolutely terrifying had to be the team's play on third down. It was on both sides of the ball. It was on defense, it was on offense. You know, it really just changes the momentum of the game. When the defense can't get off the field on 3rd and short, and when the offense isn't picking up those crucial, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, and they just can't get those, it just really hurts the team. and they just can't do that going forward if they want to win any more games.
Speaking of things that hurt the team, there's a lot of things that plague between the past 2 weeks, even the whole season at this point, Jackson. That's discipline. Could you speak more about the penalties from ASU?
Yeah, if I were to quote, Meek Mill for a second here, roughly, of course, it's back to back, and it's getting scary. This is 2 straight weeks where penalties have really been penalties have really been an issue for the team. It's been discipline. It's been playing with a lot of emotion, it can be good, but when it gets out of control, it's a disaster for the team. These guys, they've been getting penalties at bad times. It's been 9 last week, 12 the week before, and before that, every game they had only had an average of 5. So, they can't do that. It can't be something. You can't let your emotion get the best of you. And back-to-back weeks, they've done that.
And that's something that discipline is just so huge for a football team. Now, where does that come from? Is there someone or something that you can point to as to why ASU penalties have just been so repeated for this team?
I mean, there's really one place that you can point to here, and it's the coaching staff. You got to look at Herm Edwards. He hasn't dealt with this at all through his tenure, short it may be here at ASU, but the real issue is that he needs to get his players back in line. They need to be focused and ready for the rest of the year, because if he can't do it, I don't know if anyone can.
Well, rehashing that game is pretty scary, in my opinion, but as far as something that's a little more exciting, we send things back on over to the Rose Bowl for House of Sparky's own Scotty Gange with the Blaze Radio Call of the Week.
Doubles to the right side as DTR takes the snap. We'll throw it into the end zone to Kyle Phillips, right in the corner, caught, touchdown! UCLA takes a 3-touchdown lead off the arm of DTR.
It's a special time of year, and that calls for a special segment. Quinn Jamison, Mason Kern joining me at the desk. It's time to go over the trick and treats of this season for Arizona State football. And gentlemen, I'm very excited for what we have in store here.
Super excited, guys. I actually got you a couple treats. I'm so excited to be back on the show.
Nice.
Jack-o'-lantern for you, Quinn. Pumpkin for you. Got a little caramel chocolate here for me. So it's going to be an exciting show. Let's get it.
You're already passing out the treats. I'm not going to stop you. What do we have in store? Some treats for this season so far.
Yeah, it's definitely been a roller coaster of emotions for this Arizona State football team this year. But I think one of the biggest treats and biggest surprises is along the offensive line. And some of you might be like, whoa, treat along the offensive line. It's probably been their weakest position group to this point. But I'm looking at a true freshman in Donovan West, who's played at right guard this year. True freshmen don't play on the offensive line. It's really rare. Right. He's exceeded expectations this year. His position coach, Dave Christensen, has graded him above 90% in multiple games this year. They're starting another true freshman at left tackle. It's a really young group overall. I think they've played relatively well considering the expectations placed upon them with all the youth that they have on that team.
And now, you're so nice passing out the goodies.
I try.
Passing out the treats. Quinn, what do we have over on this side?
Well, I guess that makes me the bad guy, or the trick.
Whoa!
Whoa! You got me on that one.
When it comes to the Arizona State football team, the trick this season, it's been all about letdowns after big wins. And we saw a little bit of that last year, but just looking this season, they go to Michigan State, they upset Michigan State in East Lansing. They go to Cal. They beat Cal in California. Two huge top 15 wins. And what did they do after that? They lose games to Colorado, who's 3-5. And then 2 weeks after going to Cal, they lose a game this last week to another 3-5 team in UCLA. That is unacceptable when you're thinking about a team that's trying to compete for a Pac12 championship. Now, a 5-3 record overall isn't unexpected, but to have 2 of those losses be coming against 3-5 programs that are really not in a good state, that's just the letdown after being ranked and getting those huge upsets. So that's the trick this season with Arizona State.
Yeah, it definitely has been a letdown, especially before the season. If you said the Sun Devils would be 5-3, I'm pretty sure everyone would be happy with that. But where we are now, we have one trick or one treat. Where are we at now, guys? What does that leave us with?
I think there's a mix here because you have the tricks, the treats, you have a number of different scenarios here. But I think along the treat side, the youth on this team, they've played up to 29 true and redshirt freshmen this year, and with all that youth, they've played reasonably well. Now, you don't really want to play that much youth. You want to have the depth. The transfer portal has been a big storyline throughout the season, with multiple players leaving in the offseason and even midway through the season in week 6, 7, 8. When you have no real depth, but you're getting the output that you're getting from these players who are playing burning their redshirt years, even with the new 4-game rule. I think it's a treat that they're playing the way that they're playing 5-3 up to this point.
And Quinn, what do you think about this? I mean, is there something else to that side?
I mean, when you're playing so many freshmen, you're not going to be as successful as the standard that it seems Arizona State has for themselves, competing consistently for a Pac-12 South title and then a Pac-12 championship game appearance. You're not going to be able to do that with 29 freshmen. For as good as Jaden Daniels has been and the maturity that he's shown, he's still a young player. And so playing that many freshmen, as Mason said, there's some benefit to that. They've played well for their age, and they're going to be really good players. But at the same time, success now is just not a feasible option with that young a team.
And you're seeing it too, just with the penalties in the Utah game, in the UCLA game. You're seeing some of the freshman mistakes really start to show up, especially Herm Edwards is saying we're playing emotional. We're playing with emotion over passion. That's been his main kind of thing in these last 2 losses. And that's going to happen when a team gets in a 2-game slump. When you have so much youth, they're not used to losing on the college level yet. So they're going to react in certain ways. Ashari Crosswell punting the ball against UCLA.
Right.
Eno Benjamin throwing the ball at the referee. So you're kind of seeing that youth show up at this point in the season.
You definitely are, and it's all like Halloween. We have tricks, we have treats, and we have these 2 guys right here helping us out here on the house.
Relax. Take a deep breath. It isn't the end of the world. Quote, this team is blank soft, mentally and physically. Fire Rob Likens. He's throwing the game. Rob Likens is incompetent. Step back. Relax. Those were all comments and tweets from ASU fans, some from House of Sparky commenters. I'm not sure why the expectation for this team includes winning a national championship. Freshman quarterback, a coaching staff that hasn't spent 2 full years together, and an athletic department still transitioning to an elite program. Be better. I'm disgusted in the attacks on the team and coaching staff, but when it comes to it, they can take it. At the Jets, Herm was criticized constantly for his conservative play calling and poor clock management. He's used to it. Herm can brush it off. When talking about student athletes, though, 19-year-olds, be better. These boys aren't superhuman. They go back home or to their dorms at the end of the day and have to figure out what's for dinner. They still have to do homework and study for tests. Unfortunately, guys like Kyle Williams are pursuing doctorates, and football isn't their #1 priority every hour of the day. Doesn't that stink? He wants a life after football. ASU fans, be better. Attacks directed at professional athletes are commonplace, and most pro ballers know how to take it in stride. But using Twitter to go after guys who were in high school 2 or 3 years ago, that's disgusting. ASU lost last week. It was ugly. It dropped them out of the rankings. It even lessens their probability of being bowl eligible. Quote, this is the 2nd week in a row where we acted like blanks and got silly penalties in critical situations. Continuing that quote, from now on, I hope Herm starts revoking scholarships for boneheaded, emotion-filled, raised by women BS penalties from here on out. Continued, I'd rather lose by another man beating us one-on-one than lose because we don't know how to handle our feelings. The whole team is garbage. Offense, defense, special teams. When one thing goes wrong, they let their emotions take over like a bunch of, quote, softies. If you feel the need to say that, look in the mirror first. There's no feel-good story of the week this week. It doesn't feel great to have a team where players are yelled at and berated by fans. Be better.
Well, we already had the tricks and the treats, and now it's time for even something better. Just the candy. Rob Warner joins us on the house. And Rob, I hear that we have a little bit of a comparison game, a little association with some of the classics on Halloween.
We do. We're going to compare 3 Pac-12 teams to some candies for this Halloween special because, you know, everybody wants candy, but some kinds you don't want as much of. So we're going to start with first one. We got Whoppers, okay? Whoppers right over here. And Whoppers, you know who they remind me of the most?
Who's that?
The California Golden Bears. The California Golden Bears looked really great to start the season. 4-0, number 15 in the nation. Fool's gold, though, Jordan. They looked bad against Arizona State after the first quarter and a half. And since then, they've lost to Oregon State at home. Really just an abomination of a home football game. And then they lost 35-0 this past week in Salt Lake City. Can't happen, especially not when you enter the enter the season with high hopes and start the season 4-0.
I mean, it's a perfect analogy for Whoppers too, because when you look at a Whopper, it's just, oh, that you feel like that's what you want, and then you taste it.
You get the milky and chocolate, and then you get the dry inside. So
that's not good.
Second candy, we're gonna go Dum Dums right now. Dum Dums are for Arizona State. Herm Edwards isn't gonna like this, but I mean, the penalties lately have been so pathetic. Ashari Crosswell punting a football. Ashari, you are not the punter. Eno Benjamin tossing the ball to the referee. I don't even know what that was. He said that he didn't think that it was anything egregious, but on replay it doesn't look very good. And apparently he said something to the referee before that, so I'm not very surprised that that was the call. And then last one we got Jolly Ranchers.
Classic.
Just the sign of consistency.
Yeah.
A nice subtle taste, something you always like having. Oregon Ducks. They're just a solid team year in and year out. This season the same. They've got a great offensive and defensive line, a quarterback that's making good decisions, and a running back group and wide receiver group that's just been solid the entire season. They don't beat themselves. They made it very tough on anybody to upset them this year. I think they're a good bet for the college football playoff this year. Those are my three candies and my three associated Pac-12 teams for them, Jordan.
Yeah, Jolly Rancher is a staple, and so is Oregon, and so are you. Rob Warner joining us. We got the candies. Now we get to eat them.
Yep.
That's the best part of this entire thing.
Well, if you couldn't tell, it's Halloween season, which means all sorts of things. Candy, haunted houses, costumes, and of course horror movies. Now, personally, I'm not the biggest fan of the genre, but I saw one last Saturday. It was your classic horror movie full of all the classic horror movie tropes. A group of people go into an abandoned place, not worrying at all, confident and unbothered. And as time went on, they continued to make decision after decision that made me scream, "No, what are you doing?" at my TV. And as the movie kept going, I kept thinking, it'll be okay. They're too smart to not find their way out of the situation, because the monster wasn't a scary one. In fact, it wasn't terrifying at all. But at a certain point, I just lost hope for them. Until the end, when the main characters fought back and showed life for the first time. But here's where the classic horror story took an unusual turn. Those same people trying to get past the monster, who seemed to always come out on top, couldn't. The monster that was UCLA would bend, but not break, and the clock hit 0. And as the credits rolled, I couldn't help but think, what on earth was that? Because when I sat down to watch a football game, it ended up being a horror movie with a horrific ending for ASU. Now, as we look ahead to the rest of the season, I think to myself, will there be another sequel of last weekend? Or will Herm and the Sun Devils flip the script? Boom! Let's spin things around the conference. Pac-12 Top Plays Extra Spooky Edition here. KJ Costello going all the way back. You just got mossed. That's scary, Jordan.
That is scary. I don't want to be that DB. I mean, he had nightmares about that one, I'm sure. Now, talk about a nightmare. How about this Washington State defense? Because that's CJ Verdell, and there he goes. 89 yards to the house, untouched, unfazed, just like Oregon. Looks like they're going to be cruising in that Pac-12 championship game.
Zooming on by, not a single person looking to touch him. He was on his own, still a little more guarded. KJ Costello drops back again here. 10-7.
Oh!
One-handed grab. Tell me that's not a highlight from this
Oh
Jordan.
my, that's a great catch. Look at this on the replay right here. The perfect spiral and the perfect grab.
Pac-12 Top Plays on Halloween.
A one-handed catch tops our Pac-12 top plays of the week. I mean, man, he pulled out a few treats out of his bag on that one, and maybe even a trick or two, because I have no idea how he got that done.
He goes to the NFL, pulls that kind of thing out, couple hundred grand bars in his trick or treat bag.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, and I think I might spot a one-handed grab. Why don't you go ahead and put that mask right back on? It's Halloween, we're getting in the spirit, and this is a lot of fun to do, and oh, what a great time. Go ahead and try it. How are you doing? You doing all right? Yeah, that's right. That's what I like to hear. Talking through the Darth Vader mask, only on this show, only on The House. We thank everyone for tuning in. Until next time, we'll see you later.